Okay, so if you're feeling completely swamped by workplace stress, I bet you've heard this a million times. Hey, you should try meditation. It's literally everywhere, right? But for a lot of us, it's just this confusing mess of apps and weird mantras and what even is mindfulness? And deep down, there's always this little nagging question.
Is this all just a really, really fancy way to relax? I mean, is there something real happening, or are we just taking a high-tech nap? All right, let's actually dig into this, because the science here tells a pretty fascinating story. So to get to the bottom of it, researchers scoured all the scientific literature they could find, and they found a mountain of studies, over 3,500 peer-reviewed papers on meditation. Now, with that much data, you'd think the answer would be crystal clear, wouldn't you? Well, not so much. Because here's what happened. When they started filtering for the absolute gold standard of research, we're talking randomized controlled trials, that huge mountain of evidence just kind of crumbled. Only about 4% of all those studies actually met the bar for a truly rigorous experiment. And here's the real punchline. Even inside that tiny group of really high-quality studies, most of them couldn't prove that meditation did anything special, anything more than just, having a quiet rest or doing a basic relaxation exercise. So the scientific case for a specific effect has been surprisingly weak. Which of course leads to a fantastic question. If so many people feel like it helps them, but the science can't seem to pin it down, what are we missing here? Well, it turns out the answer might be in a really simple but kind of profound misunderstanding of what meditation was even for in the first place. And this is where you can really see the disconnect. See, in the West, we tend to treat meditation as a technique. It's like a workout for your brain to help you focus or relax. But the traditional Eastern view is totally different. It defines meditation by the experience you're aiming for, a state of being aware but without any thoughts. They call it mental silence. You know that voice in your head? The one that just won't stop chattering the second things get quiet? You're thinking about your to-do list, what you said in that meeting, what's for dinner. The Eastern tradition has this perfect name for it, the monkey mind. It's just constantly jumping from branch to branch. The whole idea isn't to train the monkey, but to just let it settle down on its own. And what happens when that monkey mind finally does settle down? You get this: mental silence. Now, this isn't about having a totally blank mind or being zoned out. It's actually a state of being super aware and alert, but just without all that internal noise. It's about experiencing the quiet space between your thoughts. So, armed with this totally new definition, researchers designed a huge experiment, actually the largest of its kind, to test a really simple hypothesis. Does achieving this state of mental silence have a real, measurable effect on workplace stress? And believe me, this was no small trial. They took over 170 people who were all dealing with work stress and split them into 3 groups. Group 1 learned the mental silence technique. Group 2 learned a pretty standard relaxation meditation, the kind you usually see in studies. And the third group, they got no treatment at all, so they could serve as a baseline. This whole setup was designed to finally answer that key question. Could the actual experience of silence really do something more than just the technique of relaxation? And the results were absolutely staggering. I mean, look at this. For work stress, almost 60% of the mental silence group saw a huge improvement. The relaxation group, only 38%, which is basically the same as the people who got no treatment at all. And for depressive symptoms, it's even more dramatic, a 50% improvement in the silence group compared to just 20% for the others. This wasn't a small difference, it was a total breakthrough. The researchers' own conclusion really says it all. For the first time in a major, properly controlled study, a specific meditation approach showed a clear, powerful, and totally unique effect on reducing the pressures of work. So, this is all fascinating science, right? But what does it actually mean for you? How can you try to find this state of mental silence for yourself? Well, the good news is the actual practice is surprisingly simple. It all starts pretty simply. Find a quiet spot, set a timer for just 10 minutes, that way you can totally forget about the clock, sit comfortably, take a few deep breaths just to get centered, and then gently introduce a simple focal word, something like peace. Now, here's the absolute most important part. When that train of thoughts inevitably shows up, don't fight it. Don't get annoyed. Just gently, without any strain at all, guide your attention back to your word. And here are a few things to keep in mind. The number 1 rule is never strain.
This is not a battle you have to win against your thoughts. It's more like a gentle redirection. And be patient, okay? It can take a little time to start experiencing those moments of stillness. Oh, and if old memories or feelings pop up, that is completely normal. Just notice them and then let them go. So, the crucial takeaway is this: the objective isn't to have a perfectly empty mind for 10 minutes straight. The real goal, the real win, is to just start noticing and appreciating those little quiet gaps between your thoughts. That's where the magic is. That's where you find the peace. So the science is pretty clear that this state can seriously reduce workplace stress and even depressive symptoms. But beyond all that, it leaves us with a really fascinating question to think about in our own lives. With just a little bit more silence, what could you accomplish?